Welcome to this video dealing with how to write a good CV tailored to a job ad. Now let's take a look at some practical tips, again based on experience from professional recruiters on the one hand, but also input that we get from research into CVs and cover letters. The first thing that we should not forget is the fact that CVs are selected not on the basis of the cover letter, but on the basis of the CV. What does that mean? You put lots of effort into writing your cover letter and your CV, you send it to a recruiter, that recruiter gets an entire pile of application letters and CVs, and the first thing that person does is not read the letter, but immediately turn to the CV. Why? Because that person does not have a lot of time. So for a first selection, that person is going to make three piles. A pile with yes, looking at the CV, we find certain words, things that we're looking for that match the original job ad. This is the kind of person that we need. You go into the yes pile. On the other hand, you also have then people that go into a no pile and the in the middle, the maybe pile. And in the case there are not enough people from the yes pile to make a nice short list to really take some valuable candidates, then we're going to turn to the maybe pile, and perhaps then we're going to read the cover letter. But for making the initial cut, getting onto the short list to get to an interview, it's the CV that's going to get you there, not the cover letter. The cover letter is only going to be read just before the job interview itself. That, of course, being in most cases. So, first tip that we're going to remember, CV is going to get me on the yes pile. I need to put in lots of effort to get that pile. Next then, we need to tailor our CV to the job offer. Many people do that for their cover letters, which is of course excellent, but they have just one standard CV. It is my CV. But that could mean that in the CV, certain words that you have identified in the job ad and that perhaps you mention in your cover letter will not be in the CV. But since the CV is going to get you on that yes pile, you also need to work in to tailor your CV to that specific job offer that we have there. So that is a very important thing to stick into your heads, to keep in mind when you're writing your CVs. Tailor it to the specific job ad. Next then, I'm going to make sure that the people reading my CV, that they will get that information, those killer words, killer points about me, the words that match the job ad as easily as possible. The first thing that we're then going to look at is the amount of space that we're going to use for a topic, and we remember that it should mirror its importance. And the second thing is that we're going to use proof from eye tracking software for scanning purposes. Now, what is this picture here about? Let's go to the link of that site. Let me get that a bit more central. This is what we have here. This is a picture taken with eye tracking software. That is a computer screen that has separate webcams that are directed at the pupils of your eyes, and as your pupils move across the screen, all those little webcams are going to keep track of the movement of your pupils, and in doing so the software is able to tell what the areas are that are looked at very often, and those often looked at areas here are the ones in red. And we see some kind of pattern. This being here for web pages was very recurring when people have to scan any text. That is that there's kind of an F. You first read what's here near the column, and then the main parts, the first sentences of those paragraphs get read most often. So if we want to put crucial words, killer points into our CV, we need to make sure that the main information is here, aligned to the left, of course, for Western alphabets, and that the information is also at the start and towards the top. Things that will be mentioned here completely at the bottom right will not get read or scanned as easily as information that we put here, left and top. So when drafting our CVs, we're going to make sure that our killer points will be situated high and more to the left or to the first sentences. The following tapes, we're going to take another look at some more tips for writing good CVs.